All right, you guys, this episode 21 of Inner Demons. I'm going to get straight into it, man. But before I do, I just want to extend my appreciation, like I always do, to all those of you who have been dropping positive comments. I'm glad you guys like Inner Demons and War Stories. I'm going to keep doing what I do, man. So anyway, it's been a couple days since I put out an Inner Demons because you guys have been feeling the war stories, man, but I don't want to lose sight of Inner Demons. So I'm going to cover the next episode right now. So, I believe in the last episode I talked about being celled up with other cats for an extended period of time and learning how to adjust to those type of environments, and basically learning how to do cell time, learning how to be patient, learning discipline, learning how to be flexible. And then some of the situations I had with some of my cellies. Joey Fernandez, the motherfucker that was walking around with the t-shirt in the shower. And then you had Edward Lanzarin, wino from Diablo Park, Daly City, that basically went for the banana in the tailpipe and pled guilty to that weapon he told him I had in my mail. So that was those situations happened. And then the next situation that occurred that's worthy of talking about was, so like I said, I had stayed in AdSafe for about 17 months. And during that time, there were a lot of situations that kicked off, man. Susanville was all the way live, man. I was young and they kept feeding us, man. Boy, there was drama. There was a lot of drama out there. At one time it was, shout out to the homies from Fresno, but at one time, man, we had situations with guys that were from Fresno, and then another situation occurred that was crazy. And I'm gonna set the stage for you guys because I kind of talked about it a little bit in one of my lives last night. Somebody asked about getting hit with the block gun, and man, I used to get hit with the block gun on a regular basis. But I'm gonna tell you guys how and why, and a lot of it is because of the Gladiator fights. But look, so I'm in Susanville, I'm locked up in the hole, I'm in AdSeg, administrative segregation. I'm there, I'm learning bonds format, and again I'm learning how to just live in that environment. I got to learn how to do whole time now because mainline is over. It's a wrap. I'm never going to see another mainline again. I got a chrono where they said that they had initiated the validation process. So I knew I was never going to hit a mainline again. That was something that from that point on I was going to have to deal with. For the rest of the time I ever came back to prison, I was going to the SHU program. So anyway, in Susanville, depending on the weather, because it snows out there, sometimes it's hot as fuck, and then there's times of the year when it snows. Sometimes they'll run yard, and sometimes our recreation time is just on the floor inside the section, whatever section you're in, A, B, or C. If it's snowing and there's weather conditions that won't permit them, or they won't allow us to go out to the yard, they'll just let us come out in the little area that's caged. So the way it's caged off or fenced off, you got A section and it's all fenced off so that guys that live in A section can only come out and move around in A section. B section, it's fenced off so that they have their area, and then C section has its area that's fenced off. Each one has an upper and lower shower. So again, when the weather permits us or permits them to run yard, we'll go out to the 2 yards that are behind the building. When it's too funky out there, we'll come out and they'll turn the TV on and we'll walk around and we'll do our shower thing right there, and we'll walk laps. Just that's a little exercise area right there. That's our yard. So anyway, this was in the summertime. It's summertime, it's hot as fuck. They're running yard. During one of the yards, one of the COs that worked in the gun tower, he was cool because I'd already gotten into a lot of drama out there, and he'd already shot at me a couple times. So obviously we had somewhat of a relationship. I forget the dude's name, but after the incident, I come out to the yard, and after we do Machina, we bust down. He'd lean over, and he'd be like, "Hey, boxer," and he'd be like, "Man, guys are fools, man." He talk about the incident or whatever happened on the yard, but he was cool. He was all right. We had a rapport with him. And sometimes it's good to have a rapport with the gunners like that, because I've been in situations like in Quentin where we were getting ready to put in work, and we had a solid rapport with the gunner over there, an old ass Africano that didn't care about shit. We tell him, "Hey, such and such, we're getting ready to take care of some business, man. Can you give us a little bit of time?" And he'd be like, "Look, I'm gonna give you motherfuckers I'm gonna give you 3 to 5 minutes. That's a long fucking time. I'm gonna give that to you. I'm gonna turn my head. You guys go ahead and do your thing. But when I tell you to get down, get the fuck down. Don't make me shoot, man, because I will shoot your ass, right?" So it's good. It's a good thing sometimes to have a rapport with the gunner. And then also it's good to have a rapport with him because you don't want that motherfucker to shoot you, right? So during one of the yards, the gunner, the same individual, he basically told us that the administration was getting ready to combine our yard with another yard that, I'm not going to say they were Southsiders. They were Paisas, but they were strong Southsider sympathizers. They would go to yard and they'd be on the fence with the Southsiders. Shout out to the Southsiders, man. Shout out to the Paisas. And they'd be on the gate talk. There was one Paisa, he was from Maravilla, Memo. And he was like the leader of all the other Paisas. And he was a huge Sureño sympathizer. You could basically say they were Southsiders, straight up. They rolled with him, and they rolled with him hard, man, and it wasn't no secret. But anyway, when the gunner told us that they were combining our yard with these guys, I was like, "No, you're not." I didn't believe him. And he was like, "No, I'm dead serious, man. The next time you guys come out to the yard, you guys are going to be coming out with those guys, right?" And he was like, "Hey, they're even going to put the Bloods with the Crips." And I was like, "Man, hell nah. There's no fucking way they're going to do no shit like that." And he swore up and down that he was serious. And he was, man. He was dead ass serious. So anyway, at that time, Jasper was still the OA in the oil. So it was his call. When we caught wind of that, we threw a meeting. We all got together in the corner, and Jasper was like, "Check it out. So you guys heard the situation. These guys are supposed to be coming out with us on the next yard." He was like, if that happens, I'm gonna tell you guys right now, stand down until I get a chance to talk to Memo. He's like, I'll try to holler at him in the building. And they had never hollered at each other before. It wasn't like he had a rapport with Memo and I'm gonna go in there and see what's up. This is like he was gonna reach out to him, and whether that dude was receptive to him or not, nobody knew. Like I said, I was a guppy, man. I was a youngster. I wasn't educated. However, I was intelligent enough to know that there's no way we could go to yard with these dudes, and there's no way we could have harmony out there. I would have felt uncomfortable, and based on their interaction and me seeing their interaction with the Southsiders, I was like, man, that's not a good thing, man. It's for us to share yard with these dudes, I don't agree with it, man. I think it's a bad call. I think if that happens, that they're gonna probably lay in the cut and wait for an opportunity to try to move on one of us. And the Southsiders are gonna influence them if they're not already thinking about it themselves. That's what I was saying. And Chente, Roy Ball, if you're there watching, he was my celly, you know what I'm talking about. You were there. Me and Chente were the only ones that were like, man, check it out. let's just let them come out, and when they come out, we'll kick it off. We'll get off on them because I didn't feel comfortable. I wouldn't have felt comfortable going out to the yard doing Machina with these guys out there. There's just no way. I couldn't see it happening, man. Anyway, that was Jasper's directives for us to stand down. That, you know, he was going to deal with it. And he told us, he was like, look, when they come out, you know, me and Chino will get at them. And if it looks bad, we'll sock them up. We'll fucking rush all of them. We'll get them all off the yard. But if it doesn't have to be that way, you know, they can be on one half of the yard, we can be on the other. When we're busting down, they can't come nowhere near our security. And just, man, I didn't agree with nothing he was saying. And again, I want to keep emphasizing this because it's important. I was not seasoned at that time. I wasn't educated. However, again, I was smart enough to know that it didn't feel right and it just wouldn't have been right. So check it out. Let me back up a little bit because there's another part of this before we actually touched the yard with these dudes. So it wasn't the next yard that we were gonna go to yard with them. It was like within the coming weeks. It was probably like within the next 2 weeks or something, we're gonna end up going to the yard. Because look, this is what ended up happening, and this is a good part of it, a big part of it. So there was, when me and Chente were celled up, we had a neighbor named Jairo. His name was Jairo. He was a little short, stocky motherfucker from Honduras. He was a little dark paisa. He was out there on the yard with these guys, and we used to chop it up with them on the vent. And you know, we used him to get a lot of information about that yard, about VENMO, and he straight up told us, he's like, hey, he's, you know, that's who he rides with. He's not you don't claim paisa. He's like an undercover Southsider, and you know, we asked him like, hey, what's he talking about, man, as far as yard? Because they advised them as well that they were going to be coming to yard with us. And Heido told us that he's like, hey, man, he's talking about trying to get off on you guys. You know, about, you know, he's talking about waiting till you guys come out and then waiting for an opportunity to hit a couple of you guys, like, at the same time. They had, like, I want to say it was 6 or 8 of them at the most. Norteños on our yard, we were probably about 10 or 14 deep. You know, there wasn't a whole lot of us, but we were like 14. There was like 14, 15 of us out there. So anyway, Heido was telling me that, you know, I don't like that motherfucker VENMO, man. He's a punk, man. You know, I don't respect that. You know, he's like, hey, I'm puro paisa, you know, puro Honduras. He was like, that's the way it's supposed to be. We don't get involved in your guys' politics. He was like, man, you know, I don't play that shit. And he's like, man, I want to fuck that dude up, man. You know, I wanna hit that motherfucker. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, hey, Heido, if you want, I'll make a pedazo. We'll bring it out there and we'll give it to you, man. We'll set it up to where, you know, all you got to do is just come out there, get the pedazo, and boom, you know, you can hit that motherfucker. If that's what you want to do. And he was like, yeah, man. He was like, hell yeah. He was like, you make a pedazo, you bring it out, you have somebody drop it for me, and I'll hit that motherfucker. So, you know, we had a plan in motion. And when I was getting at this individual, I told Jasper about it. Obviously, I had to report it. Hey, look, this is what's going on, and this guy is game to fucking hit this dude. So we want to assist him. And Jasper was on board with it. He was like, yeah, fuck it, go ahead. If you can have him hit him, then. You know, maybe we can get that motherfucker off the yard, get him out the way, so these other cats will be manageable. So anyway, A week goes by, 2 weeks go by, they start running. They get ready to start running these yards together. I'm waiting for this day. Everybody's waiting for it. You know, I'm pumped up. My adrenaline's going. I'm thinking shit's gonna kick off. On the yard out there. There's no doubt in my mind. It might just kick off when these dudes first come out. According to Heido though, he was like, they're not gonna just rush you guys. They're gonna come out and they're gonna let you guys get comfortable, and then they're gonna try to move on you guys. So I'm like, okay, so cool. So, but anyway, I still didn't trust them. I trusted Heido. I was pretty sure that dude was solid, and he wasn't trying to pull a fast one. But I was still being cautious, man. So anyway, they run the blood and crip yard first, because there was only two blood. No. There was only one blood at first. Just one blood out the whole block. And the rest were all Crips. There were like 22, 23 Crips and one blood. But this one blood would go out to the yard. He would go out there, man, by himself. I gave him nothing but props, because this man stood on his own 2 feet when he could have just locked it up and been like, I'm not gonna go out there. But he showed his fucking meat. He showed his that he had some heart, man. He had a lot of heart. He went out there, and the sergeant, when I told you guys on my live that the sergeant, so this is the way they used to run the yard. In the morning, they'd open up the door to the yard, and then the sergeant would get his block gun, and he'd be standing right there in B section waiting for them to start running yard. So you had the gunner that was already out there. When they'd run the yard out, the sergeant would run, or they'd run 2 individuals, say like they'd run a couple Crips out, and then they'd run a blood out. Let's just say, for an example, well, when they would run the blood out, the sergeant would follow him and go out there, because he knew it was gonna kick. So that motherfucker would stand right on the gate, and as soon as the bar got pulled, he'd just start busting. That's what he would do. And you get hit with that block gun like 4 or 5 feet away. That shit used to tear chunks out your ass. I got hit with it every time we went out there and got into a situation. I would get hit with that block gun. But I got used to it. You don't feel it when your adrenaline's going and you're out there and you're squabbing. You don't feel it. It's almost like you're just getting kicked. The next day, you got a big ass bruise, a big blue bruise, blue, green, like the bruise I gave that motherfucker Wino Lanzarin. So anyway, the day that they run yard, they run this out. Everybody's tense. Nobody really knows what's gonna happen. They let a couple homies out. They let some of those cats out. The homies are they fall back to one side of the yard, and they're posting up in formation. You got security out there. They're manning the gate. So, we didn't give a fuck what these dudes were doing. We were still gonna run our yard the way we were running it. We had 2 cats on the gate, and that's the way it was, man. So they all come out. We end up getting out there. The day before that yard, me and Chente make a pedazo. We make that motherfucker. It's just a little piece of plastic. It was made out of burnt styrofoam cups. It was a little, like a three piecer, three hitter quitter. That's what you would call it. So we make the pedazo and we bring it out for him. Chente brought it out. We get out to the yard. Oh boy, drops the pedazo. So I get the pedazo and I have it in my towel, and I'm we've been chopping it up with Heido the whole night. In the days coming up to this day when everything was gonna happen, we've been working on him for like the last couple weeks. So he's out there on the yard doing his push-ups. He's a little yoked up motherfucker. He was small. He's probably like 5'4", but he was a little yoked up fool. He's a little soldier, man. Anyway, he's doing his push-ups, right? He's got a t-shirt on his head. He's got a little brocha, and I can see him like just looking at fucking Memo. Memo's playing handball. He's not even tripping. He's oblivious. But anyway, these guys, when they first come out there, aside from the situation we had going on with Heido, I'm watching them. I'm trying to gauge what these guys are up to. How, see what kind of feeling I can get. And when, Memo was playing handball, he was playing handball with another one of them cats. I'm watching the other cats that came out there. I guess you call them bisas, but they weren't really bisas, man. But I'm watching them and I could tell they were plotting, man. I was like, yeah, these fools, man. Next time we come out, we gotta kick it off. I'm telling Chente that. So I'm watching Heido and I see him getting pumped up. He's doing push-ups and he's like, I see him looking at Memo. And I told him prior to going out there, hey, when you're ready, just give me some kind of sign, and I'll get the pedazo and I'll put it under my towel and I'll set it somewhere where you can see me set it by the shower or something. So we had that all worked out. Anyway, once he got pumped up, I went over, dropped the pedazo by the shower, put it in the towel, and walked away. He did a couple more sets of push-ups, walked over there, got the pedazo, and he did it slick. And he put the towel over put it over his shoulders, and he's just walking around. And I'm watching this dude, and he's pumping himself up to do it. I can see like he's getting into. He's walking back and forth, doing laps, and he keeps looking at Memo. And when Memo came back, he was playing handball. When he came back to hit the ball, he kind of got close to Heido. Heido was on him. He was on him, and he hit him quick. Boom, boom, boom. He hit him like 3 times quick. The third time he hit him, the tip of the pedazo popped. It popped off and it hit the ground. Tink, tink. You can hear it. I seen it hit the ground. Anyway, Memo turns around, got him in the neck, got him in the side of the face, in the head. He's leaking. He starts cussing him out in Spanish, and he's like saying like, "Who hit me? Who hit me?" And Heido was like, "Soy Jairo, puto, soy Jairo." And Memo was like, "Oh, okay, all right, motherfucker." Anyway, that situation was done, accomplished. We got one in. The way I look at it is, we somewhat manipulated this individual to hit that cat. We had a hand in that shit. That's the way I was looking at it. I looked at Heido as like that was a project, and we were gonna work on this dude to basically take Memo out. It didn't happen. They took Heido off the yard, put him on walk alone, and Memo stayed. He stayed assigned to the yard. The next yard. Again, I'm still pushing Jasper. I'm like, man, I think it's a bad idea, my boy. I think it's a bad idea to let these dudes come out, and I think they're gonna do something. This dude Heido, he's telling me, and he was like, nah, man, that dude, he don't like Memo, and I'm not gonna jump to conclusions. And I talked to him, and they said that they were good with it, and I'm like, man, all right, man. There was nothing I could do. My hands were tied. I mean, like I said, I was young, and even though I wasn't really schooled up, I felt like it was wrong. But all I could do is state my position, and at the end of the day, I had to comply with the OA. I had to. So the day of yard comes up. It comes up. They're running yard. Me and Chente, we were set up in like 246 in C section. At the end of the tier is like 250. So they always came and started yard in C section on that side of the building. So we were always the first ones to go out because we were right there in the corner cell. Next door to us, after Heido split, because they moved Heido down to, after he did that, they moved him to B section. There's like some cells on the bottom that were behind a fence. They moved him down there. That was like the fucking doghouse. So they ended up moving 2 other homies. One of them was Gilbert Garcia. That's another story for another day. And then Cruz Vasquez, Sleepy from San Jose. So when we were neighbors, we'd always end up going out first, and then the two homies would end up coming out right after us because that's just the way it worked, man. That was the order of the yard. So, the first day we go out there on the yard, we come out. Memo comes out with all these other cats, and I'm like, I don't feel like busting down. I don't feel like doing no activities on that yard. I felt like it was wrong. I expressed myself, and I told Jasper, I'm telling you, man, I've been watching these dudes. They're going to try to rush us, man. You know what I mean? You need to let us just get off. Let's just get off on these dudes, man. Let's get them up out of here. But he didn't want to budge. So I'm like, all right, I'm in the cell telling Chente, like, this dude's going to be held accountable. If they rush us, he's going to have to answer for it, man. I don't know why he's taking that kind of chance. Why, when in this prison, he came into the oil for stabbing a Southsider. We all came in there for the same reason. So it was on and cracking. So I didn't understand, what his position was. He was trying to say that, they were paisas, but no, they weren't. No, they weren't. It was obvious that they were strong sympathizers. He had the same information that I did. And I was younger. And, he was supposed to be the more seasoned NR member. Anyway, the first yard, nothing happened. Nothing happened. We all went out there together. I watched them for the whole yard. I could see that they were plotting, though. It was obvious, man. I could just tell that, they were talking. I seen them looking with their little beady ass eyes. And I'm like, look at them, bro. Look at them. I'm telling you. I was telling Chente, they're fucking plotting, bro. Look at them. They see the homies turn their back and they'd be like, anyway, nothing happens the first yard. Second yard, we go out. Me and Chente, the first ones to go out. Nothing happens when they bring the first set of them cats out. Nothing happens. They come out. They're like, what's up? They fall in their little corner. And we stay posted. The other ones come out. Everybody comes out to the yard. And they're supposed to talk again. So Jasper and Chino were like, hey, because Memo felt like we assisted Heido with that situation. Somehow, some way, he figured it out or he caught wind. So now he's got an issue. He's like, you guys gave that dude a pedazo. He didn't know how to make a pedazo. Whoop. Anyway, so when they go to talk, I'm sitting over there with Chino. We're squatting down. I'm like, man, check these cats out, bro. Watch them. Just keep your eye on these dudes. So when they go to talk to Jasper and Chino, Memo puts socks around his hands. To me, that's an act of aggression. Right there, I was like, that's it. That's all we need. That's all I need. Let's tear these fools up, man. But why Jasper still didn't see it, I don't fucking know. They meet in the middle of the yard, they talk. Jasper comes back. I'm getting fed up with this shit. He's like, hey man, it's good. They're not tripping. We told him Heido was his own man. He made those decisions himself. We didn't have nothing to do with the pedazo. Whoa, wah. Yankara. Right? So, at the end of the yard, towards the end of the yard, nothing happens throughout the rest of the yard. Everything's cool. But again, I see him whispering. They're whispering amongst each other, and I'm telling my celly Chente, bro, they're plotting, homie. They're plotting. They're gonna bust a move. Watch. And this is what happens, man. And even for the most part, while they're out there, I seen all the movements. But for whatever reason, I even missed one myself. So like I told you guys, me and Chente were in 246. We're the first ones to go out to the yard, and we're always the first ones to go in. They run us back in reverse. So they call me and Chente, Mendoza, Roy Ball, let's go. So, our routine was shake all the homies' hands before, we walk to the gate. So the routine was when they call you They open up the gate. There's a little pull bar. They open it. You walk in there. There's a little enclosure. You go in there, and you close the gate behind you, and you strip out. You strip out, and then they cuff you up, and then they take you out. So they call us Mendoza, Roy Ball. Let's go. So all them cats, they're all lined up under the basketball court on the fence. They're all squatting down. There's like 8 of them all in a line. When they call me and Chente, we start, after we shake everybody's hands, all the homies' hands, we start walking towards the gate. As I'm walking over there, they all just stood straight up, right? But I didn't look at it as like they were getting ready to rush. I looked at it as, okay, they were, getting ready to get called. The yard's over, so they were just getting in position. That's how I looked at it. It was a mental mistake. They all stood up. I walked by them. I just kind of locked eyes with a couple of them, nodded my head. They kind of nodded theirs back, and I walked into the enclosure. I put my hand on the fence so that I can reach down and take my sock off, because you got to strip out. You had to go through all the motions right there. So I'm taking the sock off, and out of my peripheral, my celly's behind me. All I heard was just a bunch of footsteps. I hear a bunch of footsteps and fighting, man. I turn, I look, they're on my celly. As soon as I turn and look, one cracks me in the eye. Pow! The smallest dude too, man. Gives me a black eye. But he cracks me in the eye, and when he does that, I turn around and then I rush out there, and I'm squabbing on anyone that I can put my hands on, anyone that's right there in the air. They all swarmed, so I'm tagging as many as I can. They're busting the knee knocker. Boom! He fires one, and we're still getting off. Out of all the homies out there, there was only like 3 or 4 other homies that were alert and seen what happened and got into it. Chente was one. No. Sleepy was one. And I can't remember there was like 2 other homies. Most of them were slipping all the way in the back of the yard, fucking tripping, man. So I don't get out after they bust that first one. I'm still on this one cat. Matter of fact, he's our neighbor. He's on the other side of us. So he busts again. The gunner busts again. By then, everybody's getting down, right? They get down. They're fucking you can smell the smoke from the fucking the knee knockers. There's little black fucking pellets all over the ground from shooting. So everybody's laying on their stomach, and I'm looking over at a couple of them motherfuckers, and I'm laughing. I'm like, hey, it's on and cracking now, you motherfuckers, man. Every time you motherfuckers come out here, it's fucking on, man. I'm glad you motherfuckers did that shit. And they rushed my celly. They rushed him when he had his back turned, and he got tagged a couple times. They didn't fuck him up though, man. But anyway. So they run us in, they run us back into the building and put us all in cages, every one of us that were involved. And we all get written up for physical altercation. Everybody that they seen that was involved in that little skirmish right there. But I'm pumped up, man. I'm in the cage, and all the homies that are going by, they're like, all right, B, all right, Chente, man. They were like, damn, homie, and like, fuck, and I'm like, yeah, it's all good, man. I was like, I told you, man. I told you guys, man. But, hey, don't trip. It's fucking on and cracking every motherfucking time we come out here, man. You know what I mean? I'm gonna light one of you motherfuckers up, because they're in cages, too. They're still in cages right there with us. And Memo was just, yeah, it's all good. The little one that tagged me, he's in the cage. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get you, man. What? You know what I mean? I'm telling him, I'm going to get your ass. You don't speak English. So, after they process us, nurse comes in. You okay? Yeah, I'm good, man. Medically clears us, writes us up, take us back to ourselves. From that point on, every time we go out to the yard, it was on and cracking. And the administration set this up. They straight set it up, man. And what's crazy about it is, like I told you guys, we were in cell 246. We were the first ones to go out and the first ones to come in, and that's exactly how they ran it for the remainder of the time that they kept those yards together. Me and Chente were the only ones that ever got to go out during. Well, one time, there was only one time that two other homies got to go out and get off. This lasted for about a month and a half, maybe 2 months. And the thing is we get written up, we go in, we plead guilty so that we could go right back out 10 days later and get off again. That was the thing. If we had to plead guilty. If we didn't, they couldn't give us 90 days, our disciplinary, the disciplinary, whatever kind of consequence we had, they'd still be hanging in the air. So they keep us locked up until we had our 115 hearing. So the thing was just go in there and plead guilty. So that's what we were doing. Guilty, I'm guilty as fuck, man. You know what I mean? So every yard, like I said, every yard after that they ran, they come straight to mine and Chente's cell, and they'd be like, Mendoza, Roy Ball, which one of those guys you guys want to go out with? Let's go out and get 214. Them motherfuckers been talking a gang of shit. And the COs, when they would be escorting us, they'd be like, hey, we got sodas on you guys, man. You guys better do your shit. Man, look, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm gonna be straight up with you, and this ain't no bullshit. And there's no ego involved in this. We smashed them cats every time. It wasn't even close. None of those paisas that were there that were involved in this, none of them could get out, man. It was easy. It was like taking candy from a kid, straight up. So we got to pick which ones we wanted to go out with. We ran through almost all of them. The administration kept running yard, and they kept letting us go out with these cats for like I said, 2 months. And it got so bad that they started making us pay for the canisters. The gunner actually even came to my door and talked to me one time. Because like I said, I had a report with him. He's like, look, man, I know you guys got to do what you guys got to do. And I understand. But, man, when I tell you guys to get down, get down. Because, like, you guys are taking some good headshots. And sometimes you guys are kicking motherfuckers in the head. And that's like, those are life-threatening injuries, man. So, like, I got to shoot. I got to bust and I'm like, hey, man, do what you got to do. It's not personal. You're just doing your job. We understand. The administration is setting this up. So we're put in a situation. You're put in a situation. You got to do what you got to do. It ain't personal, man. We ain't tripping. You know what I mean? Now, the only time that we didn't get to go out and that two other homies got to go out is because one time they came up with 4 COs to run yard. So they came to get me and my celly and then my neighbor, Gibby and Sleepy. And basically it was like who could strip out and get dressed the fastest. And them motherfuckers, they wanted to go out because they begged us, hey, let us go out first, man. And we were like, hell no. We're going out, we're going to get our money. So we rushed, we try to strip out real quick, pick them up, turn around, left leg, whoop up, right? But them motherfuckers beat us one time where they were faster getting dressed and they got their cuffs on and boom, they popped the door open, they turned around, they looked and they were like, ha ha ha, right? So they went went out and got off, man. I watched them, they walked out. It was almost like I was like, you can't see, you just know that they went out and be like 1, 2, 3, 4, count to 20. And all of a sudden you hear the gun, bow, bow, bow. And you knew they were doing their thing. Like I said, man, this shit went on for about 2 to 3 months. The Bloods and the Crips, that yard, it was the same way with them. This was a game that the administration was playing. I don't know why they did it. They weren't gaining nothing from it. Like, they didn't need room to run another yard. There wasn't no schedule that was in conflict. It wasn't nothing like that. It was basically they were bored and they wanted to start some shit. That's how I see it. I don't know why they did it, but they did. They didn't put anybody with the Southsiders. The Southsiders had their own yard. They were probably like 40, 50 deep. They had just got them up with the Africanos. They killed an Africano on the 2 yard. A bunch of cats. I know Lazy from Venice. You had another cat, Spooky from, I know he was from Vicky's Town. And you had little Danger from Hazard. I know those were a couple of them that were involved, but there was like 7 or 8 of them that were charged with killing the Africano. The Africano was in bed, and apparently they harpooned the cat. Anyway, I told you guys last night in the live that at some point, you know, they actually started charging us for the bullets, like $14 for the canister, $21 for the real bullet. And the way they justified it is that we were going out there and we were purposely getting involved in these physical altercations, and we were making them shoot. Ain't that some shit? They were making us pay for their bullets that they were shooting at us. It's crazy, man. But true story, you know, Chente was there when all this happened. There's a bunch of homies, a couple of them I've seen tap into this channel that were there in Susanville when all this was going on. It was lightweight Gladiator school, and I'm glad because it got me ready for what I was really gonna be involved in the future. So it was Gladiator school like a motherfucker, man, but it was all good. So I'm going to go ahead and close it up with that right there. This episode is probably a little bit longer than I intended. I'm not going to be able to run a war stories tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed it, man. This episode, I believe episode 21 or 22 of Inner Demons. I'm going to keep this going. Going to be here for a while. Inner Demons is around. I got plenty more episodes on Inner Demons. I'm just barely scratching the surface, man. So for those of you that are enjoying it, don't even trip. I got you, man. And with that said, you guys be safe, and I'm out.